Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking a bit about how you can interact with your data in Lightdash. So by the end of the video, if someone asked you, hey, can you give me a list of orders that were made during our biggest week of revenue? You'd be able to say, no problem. I can grab that from the KPI dashboard for you. And so I'm going to explain how we can do this using dashboard interactivity. So if we head over to our KPI dashboard in Lightdash, this is just an overview of our company's performance each week. There's a couple of different ways that we can interact with the data on this dashboard. Now, the first way that we can interact with data is by adding filters. So filtering your dashboard filters all of the charts in your dashboard to a subset of data based on the filter that you input. So for example, if I just want to look at orders from April 2022, I can apply this filter to my dashboard, and you can see the filter applied to all of these tiles and giving us different values. Now, any tile that has a filter applied will have this little filter icon that we can see. And if we click on the filter, we can actually see which tiles this filter is applied to. So for example, the total number of users that were created each week doesn't have our order date filter applied. Probably because there's not an order date in that table. So instead, we might want to filter our users table by month as well to just include April 2022 data. And we can apply this and we can see how it's applied our charts to be filtered to just April 2022 for users and orders and whatever other tiles we choose from here. So one really important thing to remember when it comes to interacting with charts and dashboard is that when you're in view mode, it's really hard to break stuff. So any of the filters that I've applied in view mode, as long as I'm not editing the dashboard, will be deleted once I'm done playing around with the dashboard. So anything that I'm doing in view mode won't affect what other people in my organization are seeing when they're interacting with charts and dashboards. I'm going to remove this filter and we're going to move on to some of the other interactivity features that we have for dashboards. So if we scroll down and look at a chart, let's say, how much revenue are we making each week? One of the big things that I always do when looking at a chart is I say, that looks interesting, and I want to click on it. So here, for example, we can see there's this obvious outlier in our revenue. So in Lightdash, you can actually click on these values and dig deeper into this data. You can copy the value. You can also view the underlying data. So here I can see all of the orders that made up this revenue that was so big. I can drill into this, so I can split this metric by another dimension, like for example, I don't know, the currency, if I wanted to see how it's split by currency. Or I can filter the dashboard to look at just this week so that we can see how other charts in the dashboard have been affected, or if there was another spike in something else. So we can build a better story around kind of points in our charts. Now, one of the things that I kind of skipped over when I clicked on View Underlying Data is I can actually export this data to a CSV, or I can explore from this data. Another way that you can explore from data is by clicking on this Explore From Here button. Now, Explore From Here is the best feature in Lightdash. It's how I build 90% of my charts. So 90% of the time, for me at least, I'm looking at a chart that someone else has made and I'm thinking, I wonder how that would look split by X, or I wonder how that would be if I looked at it just for this month. And so if you click Explore From Here, what you do is you open a copy of that chart in a totally safe space where you're not affecting the saved chart, that you can kind of tinker with things and build on top of that chart. So here we see the revenue over time, and I don't know, I want to know how that revenue's split by browser type. So I can add the browser type, I can configure my chart to add that as a group and stack them, and now I can say to my engineering team, hey, Chrome is like the most important browser that brings most of our revenue, so we have to make sure that we're on the latest updates of Chrome, for example. So exploring from here, you can either do directly from the underlying data, or you can explore directly from a chart. And like I said before, exploring from here makes a copy of that saved chart, so you're not affecting the saved chart at all. And yeah, those are kind of the main ways of interacting with charts and dashboards in Lightdash. And it's really fun to kind of explore the data and click into things to see what more interesting stuff you can find once you find some interesting patterns in your charts and dashboards. Now, if we go back to our question, which was, can you get me a list of orders that were made during our biggest week of revenue? We can see that this is our revenue per week, and this is our biggest week of revenue. So if we click on that bar and then we click on view underlying data, we can see all the orders that made up that big week of revenue, and we can just export it to a CSV, and we can send that CSV to the person that asked for it. And so the answer to them is, yeah, no problem. I can grab it from the KPI dashboard. And that's all using data interactivity.